working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, and we're still following the coronavirus developments around the world. We're live in Cambodia, in Thailand, in Malaysia, the US, in Guam, Vietnam, Japan, and Australia. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, and the news starts now. Let's go to the United States. In Silicon Valley, joining us live from Silicon Valley is Don Orozco. Don?
Good afternoon, Alma.
Good afternoon, Don.
And of course, it's again around 11 o'clock here in the US and just in the Pacific, but anyway, here's an update on what's going on and what's happening in terms of the coronavirus here in California. In California, we have about 6,429 cases now, 397 deaths, and 2,611 hospitalizations, with about 1,108 ICU cases. And the good thing is that in Silicon Valley, in our Santa Clara County region, we are almost able to flatten the curve already. Unlike in other states and in other counties, the spike goes up. Pero here in the Silicon Valley, it has been controlled simply because of the order of the governor, as well as the different mayors here in Silicon Valley, wherein they said to stay home and stay safe. And that has been one of the things that the citizens here are following. And currently, it is now a must. If you go out of your home, it is now a must for you to wear a mask. And the mask is not necessarily have to be the N95 or whatever. Let those be for those who are in the front lines. If you are just out doing groceries or anything at all, you just need to cover your mouth and your nose. So anything, even just a bandana type of clothing, will also work. And right now, as you go around the Silicon Valley and California, the tendency for public transportation is really very low. Right now, bus routes is down to 90%. That's why they are going to come up with a different schedule for buses, because it is very limited. And mostly, the one that's actually taking public transport are the frontliners. And now, Hilton and DoubleTree Hotels just announced that they are opening their doors, their hotel, for all frontliners. They can actually stay for free sa Hilton and DoubleTree. So if this is something that will interest you, Alma, you may want to come over and stay free together with some of the, unfortunately, the frontliners here in California. Just to give you a thought, right now, hearings for the hearings, court hearings, they still continue, and they do it online as well. So no more person-to-person contact. So now, as soon as they found out that there were already 13 13 patients, 13, prisoners have been tested positive. So they decided that they will just do everything online. And then uh, one of the good thing, one of the bright news that I have did not happen here in Silicon Valley. It actually happened in LA, especially for those who have relatives who are members of the crew for the different Princess Cruises. Today, in Los Angeles Airport, there was a special flight provided for 114 Filipinos who are all crew members of the Princess Cruises.
Okay.
And this is through the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Philippine Consulate in LA. And the good news is that tomorrow, on our ASEAN in Focus program, we will have Consul General Adele Cruz joining us for a little bit of chit-chat with you, Alma.
Oh, that's good. I just want to ask, Dawn, are there any initiatives to help our healthcare workers there, like provide PPEs or assist the unemployed? Or as in the case here in the Philippines, there has been a call to assist the middle class, which is very crucial to the economy. Are there anything like that over there in California?
Well, there is actually most of the tech companies here have already refocused their manufacturing. They are now manufacturing PPEs, and then even stores that sells textile, they are now selling it for people to come up with face masks. So that's the thing. And then you were talking about unemployment. Over the past 2 weeks, it has now ballooned to about 10 million unemployed Americans. But
Yes.
that's for the whole United States. So it's about 10 million now that has applied for unemployment.
So with that overwhelming number, how is the government going to address that?
Well, they released last week $2.2 trillion to help not just the ordinary workers, but even the banks and all other institutions that is affected. And all of us are affected. Now, the Speaker of the House, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, has just come up with an idea to release another $1.5 trillion just to make sure that there is continuity. Because again, it will not be sufficient for any of us to be receiving only a one-time 1,200 for any citizens of the United States. That's why, and again, as I reported last time, it has been extended. I believe in your case, it was extended to April 30.
Yes.
Ours is May 3. So, and then this week, the advice of Dr. Anthony Fauci is as much as possible, do not leave your house this week.
Yes.
Because this is the most crucial week. Because this is already kind of like the final phase of the quarantine. Yeah. And that's practically about it. That's the latest right now that's going on here in the Silicon Valley. Again, this is Don Orozco reporting live, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Don. Okay, let's go over to Cambodia. Prime Minister Hun Sen declared the cancellation of traditional New Year celebrations and scheduled, that's supposed to be on April 13th to the 16th. Now, let's hear more about this from Crystal Ann Ballesteros. Crystal?
Hi, Alma. Well, that is correct. Khmer New Year celebration cancelled amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen announced a new measure to fight COVID-19 by cancelling the celebration of Khmer New Year, supposedly be held from 14 to 16 of April 2020. the Prime Minister addressed in the press conference on COVID-19 held at Peace Palace on Tuesday. Prime Minister Hun Sen also ordered Minister of the Council Bin Chin and Minister of Economy and Finance on Porni Monirwat to announce and implement no holiday policy during Khmer New Year and ensure that state and private institutions reciprocate holidays for civil servants, workers, and employees when the kingdom won battle against COVID-19. Meanwhile, Prime Minister says declaring a state of emergency is unlikely to happen. Prime Minister Hun Sen said yesterday that declaring a state of emergency will be unlikely to happen as COVID-19 is under control. Speaking at a press conference in Phnom Penh, Mr. Hun Sen said that the state of emergency would not be declared if the draft is passed, but the government still needs it once the situation gets out of control. Mr. Hun Sen said that the possibility to declare the state of emergency is 0.1%. The National Assembly's Permanent Committee decided to send the state of emergency draft law to an expert commission to study it before setting a date for plenary session for debate. Mr. Hun Sen said the National Assembly will debate the draft law during its plenary session on Friday. He said that he hopes that the draft will be adopted after the Khmer New Year celebrations. Still, Mr. Hun Sen calls on public to take precaution against the COVID virus outbreak. Prime Minister Hun Sen has called on the public to take extra precaution amid the COVID-19 outbreak in the kingdom, noting that Cambodia is still at high risk. He said that the National Committee for Combating COVID-19 will review its strategy and lay out long-term measures to fight the coronavirus. 3 days of no new cases of COVID-19 ends with 1 new case reported yesterday, bringing tally to 115. The 3 consecutive days of no COVID-19 positive victims was shattered when a 27-year-old Vietnamese woman was tested positive for the deadly virus. 5 new cases of recovery and discharge was also reported today. All of the recovered were Cambodians in Siem Reap, Bantay Menchay, Phoi Phet, Phnom Penh, and Kampong Chang. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Also, the Department of Foreign Affairs, through the Philippine Embassy in Cambodia, intends to charter a flight from Phnom Penh to Manila to bring Filipinos stranded in Cambodia. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, Alma, that is also correct. Let me add more about it. The Philippine Embassy in Cambodia intends to charter a flight from Phnom Penh to Manila to bring Filipinos stranded in Cambodia because of the non-availability of commercial flights and the closure of Cambodia's international borders. This program will be on a first-come, first-served basis, but those whose employment have been terminated or otherwise economically impacted by COVID-19, as well as those with special needs, will be given priority. If Filipino nationals have intention to return to Cambodia, they are asked not to apply to this repatriation program and give way to those in bigger need to return to the Philippines. Repatriates will go through the mandatory screening by Philippine health authorities upon arrival at NAIA. They will also be required to undergo self-quarantine for 14 days. They will be provided transportation to destinations in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. Those whose final destination is in the Visayas or Mindanao will need to coordinate with relatives in Metro Manila for temporary shelter, while the enhanced community quarantine is in place. The flight is tentatively scheduled on April 12, but the exact time is still to be determined. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much for that update, Crystal Ann. And we'll be keep the updates coming. Please stay home and stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. That's it for today. I'll keep you updated on the recent news about COVID-19 here in Cambodia. I am Crystal Ann Ballesteros, and we live in interesting times.
To Bangkok now, His Majesty King Vajiralongkorn presented some medical equipment and pharmaceuticals to the government to fight the COVID-19 disease. And he also gave a royal address to the Prime Minister and other officials in order to boost their morale in an effort to cope with the current situation. Also, the Department of Health there has asked children to avoid visiting their parents and elderly family members. This is a campaign called Save Parents campaign. And also because this is going to be during the Thai New Year, and this will help protect the vulnerable from the COVID-19. Also, some ninja robots are providing health care to patients. All these from our EBC correspondent, Faye Barte. Faye?
Good afternoon, Alma. Good afternoon, Manila.
Yes, Faye, go ahead.
Yes, Alma. On April 7, His Majestic King Maha Vajiralongkorn presented medical equipment and pharmaceuticals to the government to fight COVID-19. And His Majesty said that he was so pleased to have seen Thailand deal with the problem quite well and that people have given good cooperation. And he gave some advices also to Alma, to all officials and to all the people that would effectively curb the COVID-19. And he gave his warm encouragement to everyone who really exert their full effort to fight this pandemic problem. And Alma, I would just like to add more about the confirmed cases here in Thailand. So today we received the 111 new coronavirus patients who are infected just today. Because yesterday, Alma, we got the report that it was only 38, and it has a increase into 111. And there are 3 new fatalities. Those 3 people are foreign nationals, 1 from Russia, 1 Indian, and 1 American. The government also stepping up as testing nationwide to help prevent and to fight the COVID-19. And Alma, because here in Thailand they really celebrate the Songkran festival. So I would just like to say something about the Songkran festival, okay? Songkran festival, Alma, it's more of an activity like for them to purify and to wash away the sin or the bad luck. And they really believe that if they are going to do this, they will, they will remove all the bad luck of their lives. And usually the locals here, Alma, they usually spend their time to their hometown, to their family members. They pay gratitude to the elders. They visit the temples, and they take rest. But nowadays, because of this pandemic problem, the government is asking them, from the Department of Health, they are asking the people just to avoid traveling home and to avoid visiting their parents and elderly to protect the highly vulnerable from COVID-19. And another there is a Dr. Panpimol Wipulakorn, the Secretary General of the Department of Health, already said that there would be a campaign. The campaign is Save Parents campaign. Because, Alma, here in Thailand, many of the patients are already old. So they have considered that the people here are, if they are in Bangkok, they will just stay in Bangkok and not to return to their hometown to fight for the COVID-19 and to minimize the spread of the virus. Another update, Alma, the ninja robots. This is so interesting because, the president of Chulalongkorn University told the press conference yesterday, the country is now at war with the virus, which can infect anybody. We will send an army of robots to help hospitals nationwide, and I quote. The purpose of this, Alma, is, to avoid the frontliners to be infected,
yes,
overworked medical staff, and they want to help medical staff also to deliver food and medicine and perform simple tasks. Alma?
Are these robots? What hospitals are they? Are they in these robots? Where are they used? What hospitals there? Are they in Bangkok itself? Bangkok hospitals?
Alma, according to the report, they haven't stated the definite hospitals yet.
Okay.
However, they just introduced the robots on the media. They had the press conference. They introduced the robots. They said the functions of this, but they haven't stated which hospitals.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, how is the lockdown over there in Thailand? How is it working? Is everybody following the guidelines of the government?
As of now, Alma, they already imposed the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew. However, because of the increasing of numbers of the infected people, they are planning to have the 24-hour curfew.
Oh.
However, they are still deliberating it, because if the people would cooperate according to the report, there will be no 24-hour lockdown.
Okay, so that would be dependent on the behavior of our Thai friends over there.
Exactly, Alma. Not only to the Thai people, it would be dependent to the foreign nationals as well, because many foreigners are also here in Thailand.
Oh, okay. And how are the foreigners? Are they being obedient to the implemented measures, or are they seen also?
Yes, Alma,
outside?
according to the report, when they say curfew, they really follow it. They really strictly following it, because 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. it's not that difficult to follow, Alma.
Yeah.
So what they do is, when in the afternoon or in the morning, they go to groceries, they go to the supermarket to buy the necessary things that they need. If they need to go to the hospital, they are doing those things, those activities in the morning up to afternoon. So when at night, they are, they just want to stay at home, just relax. And so they could follow also the curfew.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Faye. And we'll be waiting for more updates from Thailand. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the viewers. This is Faye Barte reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And the Malaysian government is in the midst of preparing coronavirus guidelines based on color-coded zones with COVID-19. Let's see what that means. Let's have Ruby Tinawin for the news and more. Ruby?
Yes, Alma, hi.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and good to see you. What are your updates for us, Ruby?
All right, yes. Right now, the Malaysian government is in the midst of preparing a guideline based on color-coded zone with COVID-19. So basically, they've broken up the categories into 4 different codes, color codes. 1, green, those without any cases at all. Yellow, those areas that has recorded 1 to 20 cases. Orange, 21 to 40. Red, 40 cases and above. So in this SOP, they will determine whether it would be wise for the people from the green zone, which is the clear zone, to actually move from one area to another, because the worry that the color will change to red is still there. Especially once the lockdown is lifted, right? This is the standard operating procedure on matters that would be tabled in the Special Cabinet Committee tomorrow by the National Security Council and Home Ministry. So it is expected that the SOP will also cover aspects on a post-movement control order. Everyone is anticipating the announcement that will be made on Friday, because that would determine whether Malaysia will have an extended lockdown, because from the news before, the last day of our extended lockdown is until April 14. Now, the SOP, according to the Health Ministry, is needed to ensure that what happened in certain countries which had lifted their restriction order does not happen in Malaysia. Because now, out of nearly 4,000 COVID-19 cases, in the country. There's many new clusters that are being detected. However, 69 cases, luckily only 69, identified by the health ministry. They tag it as sporadic, which means these are cases where the source of infection cannot be detected. They cannot trace it. But however, all other cases, they're able to detect which cluster they belong. So in also related to the lockdown, as you know, last Friday, Singapore government has announced their a circuit breaker measure. This is the heightened social distancing, and the lockdown is expected to run for a month. Now, there are many Malaysians working in Singapore. Actually, as of the data that I have, there are at least 45,000 Malaysians currently working in Singapore. Now, the suggestion from the health ministry is those Malaysians who are in Singapore who wants to return home during the circuit breaker measures should consider remaining in Singapore for another 2 weeks. Now, because at this moment they are still discussing with the Singapore government on the way forward for these workers. Now, he added that those who wants to return to Malaysia, they will still need to be screened whether or not they have the COVID-19 symptoms at the checkpoints. And if they are found to have symptoms, necessary actions will be taken, right? So the problem right now is if the 45,000 Malaysians will be coming back to Malaysia at, the sudden increase in number, there will be, the Johor Chief Minister said in one of his interview that they will not be able to handle the return of thousands of Malaysians at once. Yeah, so because Johor is the border between Singapore and Malaysia. So the point there is they are telling the Malaysians stay there for another 2 weeks. You don't need to return immediately. We are working with the Singapore government on this. So there was an initial agreement, and they are still working on other necessary things that they can work with them. Now, with the existing MCO, there are a few problems that are on the rise over here in this country. Of course, one of that, which I reported before, scammers are on the rise and even increasing. Not only those smuggling of illegal cigarettes, but nowadays a new wave of scammers preying online banking customers is on the rise here in Malaysia because nowadays as social distancing is being implemented, a lot of transactions are done online, and therefore there have been reports of complaints lodged by different individuals saying that they were scammed, monies were taken from their bank accounts, and many more. So experts said that people should refrain from opening suspicious texts or any links attached to their emails. He also said people should avoid accessing public Wi-Fi or encourage them to use their personal hotspots instead, especially if they're dealing with all these sensitive transactions where personal information is involved. Also, domestic violence is also on the rise. According to Women's Center for Change Program Director Karen Lai, she said domestic violence was on the rise during the pandemic due to mounting economic, social, and psychological pressure on families and communities. And they anticipate that the numbers will go up in the coming weeks. This is a cause of concern for now. Now, there's also a point here where they said before the MCO, the survivor of gender-based violence could get help from their neighbors, from relatives, from doctors, and even a postman who deliver some mails to them. But with the MCO, outside contact is minimized for good reasons, of course. However, it does take away the fact that survivors are at greater risk now of abuse and violence. So they said they become more vulnerable to different set of health issues, depressions, that impacts their immune system. So which at this point in time needs to be really guarded, making sure that one's immune system is good. So not being able to seek help immediately could potentially lead to fatal consequences. And of course, the most obvious, the result of lockdown where only essential services can operate, bosses are finding ways, or those company owners are finding ways how they can actually negotiate with the workers on various options, like telling them to take unpaid leave during this movement control order. Some even discuss with the workers on temporary pay cut. And of course, there are other bosses that also ask their employees, especially those who are earning high salary, if they could take a smaller paycheck in exchange of companies' share. Now, many initiatives are being discussed. The stimulus package also tried to cover that. But again, the bottom line is those employers who talk to their employees, they are being encouraged that make sure this is still within the based on employment laws. Whatever is being negotiated, whatever option is being provided, make sure that it is still within the employment law that is being observed here in Malaysia. Now, also Malaysia, because sooner or later, there's a high hope that the lockdown will be lifted, and the Prime Minister office, headed by Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamad, said it was crucial for the government to start planning for some economic sectors to get back on their feet. Right, so he said the health ministry and other ministries would be consulted on how businesses could resume so that the economy could be revived and Malaysia could start to catch up again. But he said the effort must also be taken to prevent a resurgence of COVID-19. Now, he cited an example, like examples of Hong Kong and Singapore, which now had to face a fresh wave of COVID-19 infections as major nations, and they were still struggling to fight the virus. So he said the Economic Action Council Secretariat had started work to prepare for economic recovery post-COVID-19. So he said there will be consultation, which also have started, talking to various stakeholders, including SMEs, different business associations, economists, the think tanks, academics, individuals, and investors, both in foreign and local places, to prepare a medium-term plan to review the Malaysian economy. So he also said it would become more important as people would be very health conscious to also focus on healthcare, right? Underlining the fact that there's an aging population, and they want to preserve higher life expectancy as well. So the government acknowledged that there would be different dynamics of rebound, which would see different types of businesses recovering at different paces. He said he's aware that the stimulus package the government has provided may not please everyone. However, the majority of Malaysians, he believed, acknowledge that the government has done its best. So all the three packages, which was announced on different dates, February 27, March 27, April 6, amounted to a total of 260 billion ringgit with direct government injection, increasing further to additional 25 to 35 billion ringgit.
Ruby?
Alma?
Yes. What would you say is the biggest concern of workers right now during this crisis?
Over here in Malaysia, there's a lot of people because a very big percentage are SMEs, so they cannot operate. A lot of people do not have jobs. So you see, when the announcement was made that they can apply for some financial support, there's a long queue straight away at those government sectors for people applying for financial assistance. And however, the sad news is that, you know, all the online scam, online problems are beginning to surface. Because over here, you know, there's a wide use of online banking. So even application for such financial aid is going through the online account, online transaction. Alma?
Okay, online, speaking of online, is there a digital divide, a gap in internet access over there in Malaysia?
We used to have that, but nowadays is we can say that Malaysia has actually done a lot, and as compared to, may not be perfect because there are still places, especially those remote places that you know, the technology is still not that good. But generally speaking, the telecom companies make it possible for everyone to have access to it. Internet service provider, probably 10 years ago, there's only one. Now there are multiple service providers that you can find in Malaysia. Alma?
And also, worldwide, educational institutions have restored to online classes to ensure students continue their studying at home. Is that the same trend over there in Malaysia?
Yes, Alma, yes. From the tertiary education side, universities have shifted from face-to-face to purely online. In
Okay.
fact, the discussion nowadays, the Ministry of Education here is to work on alternate assessment because following our academic calendar, there are many programs or courses that is about to sit for the final exam. So the lack of face-to-face will be replaced by that alternate assessment. So all education sectors, I mean all education institutions here are working towards that. So the Ministry of Education together with the Malaysian Quality Assurance Agency working hand in hand to come up with that guideline, how academics should prepare all this, what they call alternate assessment. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much for your update, Ruby. Always, always good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Keep safe, stay home, stay healthy as well.
Yes, thank you. You too. From EBC Malaysia Bureau, this is Ruby Tinawin. We live in interesting times.
Okay, U.S. Acting Navy Secretary Thomas Maudley resigned over his mishandling of the outbreak of the coronavirus on the USS Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier. Now, that was announced by Defense Secretary Mark Esper. We have more news on that item, plus news on the coronavirus situation in Guam. Joining us is our EBC correspondent, Irishdale Radam, our EBC Micronesia correspondent. Hello, Irishdale. Irish.
Half a day, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So what are your updates for us? Yes, Irish.
Yes, here are the latest updates on Guam. First, regarding the statistics, on Tuesday, yesterday afternoon, there were 8 people who tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, bringing Guam's overall total to 121. The Department of Public Health and Social Services tested 32 individuals for COVID-19 2 days ago, and 24 tested negative. To date, 121 people have tested positive, and 27 have recovered. In total, 4 have died, and all 90 remaining cases are in isolation. A hot topic, as you mentioned, not just on Guam, but flashing on the news across America, was the removal of Captain Brett Crozier as he distributed a letter seeking the help for his crew of about 5,000 sailors on the vessel USS Theodore Roosevelt, docked here at Apra Harbor. And after his dismissal on Thursday, quickly after was the removal of, or the voluntary resignation of acting Secretary Navy Thomas Modley, and he admitted to owning up. And this whole thing was very unfortunate, and he resigned on his own accord, admitting that it was a selfless act and he handled it very poorly. This shed a lot of light on how the military here on Guam and the workings within the military of how they're handling and what they wish to portray to the public in order to shed a positive light on how they're handling it. But with brave leaders like Crozier, news was shed truthfully on the matter, and the sailors on deck are getting the help that they need.
All right. Can you give us a picture on what's happening in Guam right now, Irish?
Yes, life here on Guam has changed radically, as is all over the world. Many curfews have been set for adults in regards to where they should go. Minors, there is still a curfew going out for minors with a heavy penalty. And just recently here on Guam, there are checkpoints all over the island to make this social distancing stricter, but also to be taken more seriously. Amidst all of this, there has been a bit of an influx on crime, and that's why we believe it was best that the governor's checkpoints to assure that drivers on the road are safe. If they are out on the road, it is for essential shopping. And as hard as this lifestyle now being contained at home and only going out for essential shopping is very necessary in order for us to slow the spread and to flatten the curve. Now, here on Guam, distance learning has continued as public schools have shut down. For colleges, online classes are still going on. And myself included, I am struggling to maintain that discipline in working on my own terms, studying it at home, as we are not used to this online lifestyle. But everyone has been adjusting and complying. And what I'm hearing around the island is, we are one with the governor. They're following her orders and trusting her leadership, as well as the laws that she is working hard to implement for the safety of the community. Another thing that was that has been going on to really strict the social distancing is now stores are they are limiting the selling of non-essentials. I did some shopping earlier today, even for an elder I'm in touch with, because she is afraid of leaving her home, and her and her husband are of age. So I help them out with their shopping, and true enough, some of the big department stores, they have sectioned off their non-essential aisles as makeup, holiday cards, clothing, even some sportswear. All of those have been sectioned off. So really, the only reasons why people should be making trips to department stores and grocery stores are for their essential needs.
I'm not familiar with the homeless over there, but I read homeless people. I read an interview of a homeless man who referred to the coronavirus as an illness of pampered people. Would you be aware of government plans to include homeless people over there in their mitigation plans? Would you know?
Yes, I'm hearing some of my coworkers, and I'm reading as well. They are addressing the homelessness issue, as we've had, I believe, 2 cases of those who were tested positive were from the homeless community, and they are making it available for anyone, especially those who are, not able to get attention, medical attention. There are I believe, patrols going around checking the homeless, offering thermal gun testing, and that's what I'm hearing so far. But they are being addressed, and anyone who's actually out, every now and then, it's not so unfamiliar if a police officer stops by and just asks, "Oh, what are you doing out?" And everywhere where I'm going, especially in the heavier the condensed parts of Guam, like the tourist district. There are staff with thermal guns. Anyone who's walking by, even if you're a jogger or a walker, they will voluntarily stop you and take your temperature. And this one, I think that's how they're also reaching out to the homeless community through these patrolling of the communities.
Just to give a small background of your report earlier, Guam is a strategic naval base area for the U.S. So, with your report on the Navy chief who resigned because of the coronavirus outbreak in the ship. All right, thank you so much, Irish Dale, and we hope to hear from you again. Please stay healthy, and thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma. This is Iris Overdan reporting from Guam. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.